Hello, my name is Jorb. I love gear. This is Behringer's Deepmind 12 and Akai's MPC 1000. What I'm going to show you today is sort of a Midi crash course, sort of what it is, what it does, and a lot of specifics for using it on these two devices. So if you have one or the other, stick around. It might be very helpful to you. Sort of just important to note, I am running JJOS on the MPC, but a lot of which is an aftermarket operating system. So if you have stock, it'll work a little differently, but a lot of the skills will be transferable, and a lot of the concepts will be just as relevant if you're using the MPC or a DAW or anything else. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, what is MIDI? It's not audio, it's performance data. And what that means, to demonstrate, let's look at the MIDI monitor here in the MPC, which is a tool that just shows you incoming MIDI information. And it's looking at channel 1, and that's what we're playing on. So I play one note, and that's what we see. Note on, C3, note off, C3, note on, C2, note off, C2, and a value, that's our velocity. Light touch is 29, hard touch 125. The full range is 0 to 127, or 1 to 127. And it's not just information from the keyboard. Here I move the mod wheel. You see it goes from 0 all the way up to 127. The pitch bend works a little differently on the MPC, but it's the same thing. It's all MIDI values. So it's more than just play this note. It's this velocity, and if you have channel pressure, which is aftertouch, and all sorts of things, that's what it looks like. That's what you can visualize it as, right? And so back to specific setup stuff, it's channel specific, okay? So when you send any information out, it's saying I'm on channel 1, I'm on channel 2, I'm on channel 3, and there's 1 through 16. And so in the Deepmind, here we go to global, and then MIDI settings, and you have a separate receive and transmit channel. So let's think about what receive and transmit mean to a synthesizer, okay? Receive, sorry, let's start with transmit. Transmit is what we just saw in the MPC, right? It is, these are the notes that I'm playing. It is, these are the control values that are changing. It's not anything about the sound of the Deepmind. It's all the notes I'm playing, the controls I'm changing, things like that, okay? The receive channel is the notes that I'm actually going to sound, right? The controls that are going to change the effect of the sound, or the parameters here, the aftertouch that I'm going to apply to my sound. So to demonstrate what those mean to each other, I think it's global, yep. Local on versus local off. And that disconnects these two things, right? It's almost like running the out of this keyboard separate from the sound generation. It's the out of this keyboard into the sound generation part of the Deepmind, okay? So when it's on, notes make sound. When it's off, just notes, no sound. And you'll see on the MPC screen that MIDI information is still going out, right? And so let's just add something in the middle of the connection we can make here with the Deepmind, okay? So let's go back to our MIDI settings here, and we're transmitting on channel 1, right? And it's getting it on channel 1. Just to demonstrate, if I change to channel 2, guess what it gets? Nothing. Go back to channel 1. There it is. And so on the MPC, the way we decide our channels or utilize our channels are in mode and then MIDI on the first tab. What multi-timbral means is each channel will go to its relative track, okay? So channel, if I send out on transmit, if I transmit from my keyboard, which is all this is right now, my keyboard on channel 1, it'll go to track 1. And transmit on channel 2, it'll go to track 2 of the MPC. I don't like to do that. I like to do active track receive channel. And right now we're 1, which is perfect. If it was 2, they wouldn't be the same. They wouldn't communicate the way we want them to. But active track receive channel means the track we have highlighted right now, which is 1. See, we have velocity there if I hold it. So the notes I'm playing on this keyboard are making it to this track. If we go to the next track, which is now channel 2, there it is again, right? And so it's making it that far. It's making it to that track. What is it doing with it once it's there? Well, we set the MIDI in the bottom right here, and there's A and B. Because there's 2 physical DIN outs. Sorry, yeah, 2 outs and 2 ins. And they're A 1 through 16 and B 1 through 16, because those are your limit for MIDI channels, okay? And so now, because this is sending out on this is transmitting on channel 1, this keyboard is transmitting on channel 1. The MPC says when I get on channel 1, apply it to my active track. And right now, our active track is channel 1A. Well, here we go. I play one note I get one sound. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. And just to demonstrate what would happen if I didn't do all that convoluted stuff by turning local off, I'm going to play one note. If we look at our voices here, 2 voices sound because the keyboard is hardwired into the Deepmind when we have local on, and the MIDI is going out of the Deepmind into the MPC to this active track. This active track is then saying, send it back out to 1, and so every node is getting connected twice. So I like to leave local off and just have 1. That's the way it works for the Deepmind and the MPC. It might be different for you, but all these principles are important. Okay? Back to our MIDI settings on the MPC. Soft through as track means when I play on the active track, it'll spit it out. So let's go back here. Soft through is what's sending it out right now, and not only when it's already recorded into the track. Or you could do Omni A, which it would leave and do every channel on A, every channel on B, or every channel on both. As track makes the most sense to me, because in this example, if I have MIDI set to 2, then, you know what? I'm going to plug in something else really fast. All right. I went in and as fast as possible, plugged in this microKORG, and it's on channel 2, and the setting for that is at the bottom of the bottom knob. I'll get B-roll and point at it where you change that. It's the bottom knob all the way to the right, and then I think it's the first or second knob to set the channel. But we set it channel 2, and so to demonstrate, again, a reminder, local MIDI's off on here, right? And so it's going to track 1. Let's turn track 1 to off. Nothing, okay? So this information from the keyboard is making it to the MPC, to its track 1, and then nowhere. We set its MIDI channel to 1A. It comes back out into the Deepmind. And now, on 2A, this thing sounds hilarious. And now on track 2, it's going to the MPC. Or sorry, it's going to the microKORG, pardon me. But it is this still information, this still the same keyboard information from the Deepmind, okay, on channel 1, received by the MPC to its active track, and then channel 2 coming back to the microKORG, but that's coming through MIDI through on the Deepmind. And what MIDI through is anything that it gets on the input gets applied to the output. And the way that information can be flowing from the MPC through the Deepmind again and making it to the microKORG without playing any sounds here on the Deepmind, and that's how through works. That's the way we do that, because the Deepmind is on channel 1 and not on channel 2. And so even if it gets information for channel 2, it doesn't care about it. Well, what happens if they're on the same channel? Let's go to MIDI settings and change the receive channel to 2. So the transmit channel can stay the same. Look at our voices here. Look at the less bombastic patch on the microKORG. They both play because they're both getting that same information. Back here to 1. And so this is sort of a practical example of what I really do with that on the MPC and the Deepmind. I'm going to find a better patch here. So here is a practical example of how I do a lot of my jamming, a lot of my loops. The Deepmind has local off, and its keyboard goes to the MPC, and it goes to the active track, and then I direct it other places, okay? And so channel 1 is the Deepmind. Channel 2 is the microKORG. And so I'll record a little loop. That actually will be enough to demonstrate. So I'm going to cut the length down to 2 and then loop it there. We hear it here on the microKORG. And then I go to channel 2, which we want to point to the Deepmind, which is on channel 1 here. Plays fine. But if I want to record, I hold over to press play, and the click comes in. That was bad. So I'm going to hit undo and come back again. Okay, and while those are looping, I can come back to either track and play them over. Lovely. If I want to record more, I can do that. Again, very sloppy. All just to demonstrate. That was way sloppier, but I like that take enough that we're going to leave it in. So, okay, to summarize here, what's important to understand about MIDI? It's performance data. It isn't sound until it makes it to something that wants to make sound, okay? Receive channels, transmit channels are different. They matter. The only information that this will receive is what it's looking for. The only information that this receives that it will make sound with is what it's looking for. So just to summarize, channel 1 leaves the keyboard, makes it to the MPC. The MPC takes that out to whatever track it wants, to the active track, excuse me. And that then has its own MIDI channel. Okay, so 1, 2 here, wherever it wants. It could be 1, could be 2. And then as it comes back into the Deepmind, the Deepmind only cares about anything coming on channel 1. And so anything on another channel, in this case 2, will make it through the keyboard. Okay, a little convoluted, a little complicated, but I was like, okay, somebody asked me a question. I can do that today. So hope you enjoy this. It's probably 20 minutes long. Any questions about what I did, what I didn't do, ask away, right? If I did a good job, let me know. If I did a bad job, let me know. If you have a video you want me to cover like this or handle like this, toss it in there. Okay, thanks for your time. So long.